Hi and welcome to part 2 of the SV650 rebuild. Thanks for all the good comments on the first part. It's given me a little bit of incentive to try and get this done as soon as possible. So let's get straight into it. My idea was to take the engine out and clean it all up and one thing and another and just make sure everything was alright, but at the end of the day the engine runs as sweet as a nut, so I'll probably just end up doing valve clearances, etc. Took the airbox off, started stripping down to get to the carburetors just to see how bad they were, to remove them and give them a good clean. So disconnected the throttle cables, a little bit of GT85 as the nuts were fairly seized. They came off fairly easily though. One issue that Suzuki's carbs suffer from are the inbuilt choke plungers. They tend to seize up after a while. I was really surprised when I undid the screws and these just came out with no problems whatsoever. Things are going fairly well up to now. Started taking all the wiring off for the throttle position sensor and the carb heaters. Again, they came away fairly simply. So now it's time to remove the carburetors and take a quick squint at them. They look in exceptional condition. I'm just going to clean these up, obviously take the float bowls off and see how clean they are inside, check the jets, etc., and put them straight back on the engine, I think. Time to drop the oil and see how well this has been looked after. Isn't this music good? And looking at the cleanliness of the oil, it looks as though it must have been serviced just before it was laid up to rest. Another common fault with SV650s is the rear brake caliper. With them being slung under the swinging arm, they tend to get all the rubbish and water and everything else that's thrown up, and this was no exception. Completely buggered, but I thought I'd have a go and see if I could resurrect it. Soaked the caliper, left it overnight really, just to see if I could get the pins out that hold the brake pads in. Also sprayed all the bolts as well, and 24 hours later came back to see if we could take this caliper apart. I even tried drilling the back of the caliper to see whether I could knock the pins through, but again, to no avail. So unfortunately this is one thing that's going to end up in the bin. Took the bike in the yard, thought I'd give it a quick wash down, so out with the muck off. Sprayed all over the engine, round the frame, etc. I've never used muck off as a degreaser, so I thought I'd give it a try. It was on special offer at Halfords, so gave the bike a really good dousing through, left it for a few minutes and then used a paintbrush to really scrub some of the problem areas, then set to with a hose pipe and washed it all down. changes it to my droll voice. Anyway, last job on the cards was the rear shock absorber. I'd ordered another SV650 shock off eBay. Very good condition. I was quite chuffed with it, to be honest. I was going to fit a ZX6, but I've done that before. I just thought I'd try and keep it as standard as possible. But as soon as I'd pressed pay, I thought, why didn't I buy a ZX6? Because the bike's not going to be standard anyway. I placed my axle stands under the front foot pegs. That takes the weight off the swinging arm and rear wheel. Undid all the bolts, which came away fairly easily. I didn't think they were going to. The bolts and dog bones were in surprisingly good condition, so I cleaned them up, re-greased all the bearings on the swinging arm pivot, or as Suzuki calls it, the rear cushion lever set. Used a bit of copper slip grease on all the bolts, so fingers crossed they won't seize up again. And replaced the new shock absorber and all the cleaned up bolts. So that's where we're up to on part 2. Rear brake calipers on order. Also got a couple of trick bits on order. I'm hoping it works. If it doesn't, then I've wasted quite a bit of money, but never mind. This is modifying bikes for you. Any future updates, I'll make videos and I'll bore you to death with my voice. So that's it for now. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks very much for watching. See you on the next one.